So, I finally got around to it. I made a playlist for YouTube of Emile Coué videos. You know, when I started doing these videos, a lot of these car videos, a half year ago or whenever, I didn't really organize them. I didn't plan on organizing them, and I still don't really plan on organizing them that much. But I thought it would be worth it, especially for people who are new to the channel or new to Emile Coué, to have a playlist of videos on here that are specifically about his teachings, because I've done a ton of videos about Emile Coué. So what I did, you can see the link below in the description, and I think above as well. What I did is I just put a bunch of the videos I've done or podcast episodes I've done over the last year or two on Coué, where we talk a lot about Coué, into a playlist. And, it's not like you have to watch the playlist in any specific order, but if you watch those videos or listen to those episodes in the podcast, in video form, you're gonna learn a lot about Coué's approach and see why I think he is by far the most practical and helpful LOA, law of assumption, manifesting teacher out there when it comes to simply understanding the psychology behind why this stuff works and why it doesn't work, which is so important to understand, in my opinion. It was only when I discovered Coué that I really started to, I would say, like, appreciate a lot of the more nuanced aspects of the law of attraction or law of assumption or whatever you want to call it that I didn't pick up right away. And it was because he was really the first guy and still really one of the only people I've ever encountered who talks about this stuff so practically and takes all this fancy, spiritual language out of it. And in my opinion, that spiritual language can be beautiful, like when Neville uses it or Joel Goldsmith uses it or H. Emily Cady uses it. It can be beautiful. It can be evocative. But is it necessary to explain the psychology of what we're practically trying to do to improve our lives or improve other people's lives? I would say most of the time it is not. It's more like a subjective sensibility. Like, we like evocative spiritual language, and so we're gravitated towards it. Coué doesn't use any of that. He says this isn't something especially spiritual. This is just how your psychology works. He just seems like he was just a great person. So yeah, the playlist is there. And I thought, in honor of the playlist, we would make a brief Emile Coué video today. I also want to let you know that, at least for the time being, I don't know how long I'll be doing this for, but right now I'm offering short 20-minute speed coaching sessions. So if you just want to check in with me and have some profound insights over a short period of time for an inexpensive amount of money, and you want to get some, deep coaching about these subjects, including the stuff Coué talks about, contact me at info@radicalcounselor.com. I'm still offering my regular coaching, longer sessions and month-long program, etc. as well. All that info can be found on radicalcounselor.com. So anyway, Coué explains this stuff better than anybody on just a practical level. Like, why does this stuff work? Why doesn't it work? Like I said. And one thing that we've touched upon, a fair amount recently, and is always a topic, especially because of how popular, like, a lot of this stuff has become on social media, is the topic is, like, how much action do you have to take? Because now, especially when we're on, like, YouTube here, you hear people like, it's like, don't lift a finger. You don't have to do a thing. And Neville famously said, like, you don't have to lift a finger or something like that. And I would argue, like, when Neville said that, and a lot of times, like, when Abraham Hicks say stuff like that, they don't usually at least mean it literally, okay? We've discussed this. I'm not going to belabor it here. Action is almost always necessary to get stuff done. Period. If you want to manifest stuff externally in your life, if you want to change your external reality, you're probably going to be taking external action. And not just some external action, but a significant amount of external action. And no matter what you're doing, even if you're quote unquote doing nothing, you're still taking action. It's impossible to do nothing. And that has nothing to do with LOA or manifesting or anything. It's just you can't do nothing. Try doing nothing. What does doing nothing look like? There is no like default mode where you're doing nothing. You're always thinking. Thinking in and of itself is action. So you can't just sit around all day, doing nothing, because you're not really doing nothing. You're sitting around thinking. And if you're just sitting around thinking, which you're doing, because that's what we're all doing, you're in all likelihood going to be motivated to do plenty of things. And it's perfectly fine to improve how you feel and attempt to improve your life by manifesting better things in your external reality by taking a lot of action and living your regular day-to-day life, but taking the action that seems appropriate to take on any given day. And even though I don't think Neville meant it when he said, like, you don't have to do anything, or Abraham Hicks say you don't have to do anything, it's really interpreted that way a lot of the time. And, I mean, it's possible. You can be very passive and get external results into your reality, right? A great example of that, if you want to hear a great example of that, like from a great LOA teacher, is Lester Levinson. Lester Levinson talks a lot about this, how to effectively do this, especially in his autobiography, No Attachments, No Aversions. But you got to be in a very vibed out state to do that. And most people ain't. That's just how it is. Most of us are living somewhat normal lives. Even if you think you're living a very abnormal life, I would wager that you're probably not. Most of us are pretty normal. I'm pretty the fuck far out there, for instance, right? But here I am in my car about to take my 5-year-old to ballet, So I'm not that far out there, and I've not met that many people who are that far out there, So you're probably somewhat normal, and you're probably living your day-to-day life, and you're going to have to take external action. And you probably have to take a lot of external action. And instead of getting confused of like, well, I want something, it's already here, I've already assumed it, I don't have to do anything, it's just going to come, I suggest at least 95% of the time, if not more, you take fucking action. You do stuff. I'll put a link above to a video I did recently, actually the last group coaching session we did. I was talking about how like a lot of this manifesting stuff is refined passivity, meaning you're passive intentionally some of the time. That's like when you're doing manifesting techniques or, just meditating, vibing out, intentionally trying to just relax internally, right? Let go. But you're not going to be doing that the whole day. The rest of your day, you pretty much live your normal life. And you know who really got this? This is going to shock you. You know what teacher really understood this well? Emile Coué. The guy who pretty much influenced everybody who came after him, including Neville, including Joseph Murphy, including Maxwell Maltz. Coué wrote, understand that before embarking on any enterprise or business venture, it should be thoroughly analyzed by critical reasoning, avoiding impulsiveness. And once they have arrived at a decision, they should stick to it, unless some additional facts prove that they had been mistaken. He's talking about how to teach people, specifically children here. He continues to say, teach them above all that they must set out in life with the very definite idea that they will succeed. Under the influence of this idea, they inevitably will succeed, not by sitting down quietly expecting events to happen, but influenced by this idea, they will do all that is necessary for complete success. They will know how to profit by opportunities, and if there should be but one single opportunity coming their way, will seize it, even if it were by a single thread, while he who distrusts himself may be likened to Constant Girard, who never succeeds in anything because he does exactly all that prevents success. Such a one might swim in a perfect ocean of opportunities, all with heads of hair like Absalom himself, but would neither see them nor seize even a single one. Such a one often creates for himself the very circumstances which cause failure, while he who is saturated with the idea of success unconsciously creates favorable circumstances which carry him along to the summit. Fucking A, man. For most of us, myself included, you could grasp and understand these LOA principles better, probably, if you just studied stuff like what Coué just said. Just study Coué, quite frankly, 90% of the time. And only look at other LOA teachers 10% of the time. Actually, I, gently encourage you to do something like that for like a month and see what happens. I love looking at different LOA teachings, but Coué's on another fucking level. So Coué is implying here and basically saying that idleness is going to fuck you up and make you do the wrong thing instead of the right thing. Again, teach them above all that they must set out in life with the very definite idea that they will succeed. Under the influence of this idea, they inevitably will succeed. Not by sitting down quietly expecting events to happen, but influenced by this idea, they will do all that is necessary for complete success. They will be taking action, appropriate action. This stuff's mainly about action most of the time, in my experiences. If you don't want to take any action, you're still taking action. So whatever you do your best to take appropriate action. And what I'm saying is that we get misled and think that we can just do nothing and get away by doing nothing. And you can only get away doing nothing if you feel good. Remember that. Because I love doing nothing. I'm all about doing nothing. But you can't do nothing. I'll leave you with that Zen paradox. Any questions, coaching questions involved with Coué or anything else? RadicalCounselor.com.